Hello, everyone. My name's Daniel, or Danny, as my friends still insist on calling me. I wanted to share my story from last night because it has me very messed up. I wanted to get this down in writing as soon as possible while the events are still fresh in my mind. I live in a tiny shoebox-sized apartment with my girlfriend Robin in a quiet city in a quiet state. Crime is low and nothing bad has ever come from forgetting to lock the door. So I was really startled last night when I woke up around 1:40 a.m. to the clattering of glass and plates from the kitchen. I reached for Robin's hand under the covers to see if she had woken up, but I found her side of the bed bare. I admit I was struck with panic when I realized she wasn't beside me and there was no light seeping from under the connected bathroom door. I listened intently, attempting to hear if I could make out any of her familiar noises coming from the kitchen-living room combo. After a few minutes of holding my breath, I realized the door was closed, something we never did. Had she gotten up to make a snack and didn't want to wake me? Was my first thought. Another noise from the kitchen, sounding like various jars thudding to the floor, but nothing shattering. My next thought was the downstairs neighbor was going to file a noise complaint about disrupting her sleep. I thought to myself, there was no way Robin would be raiding the fridge with that disregard in the dead of night. Untangling myself from the sheets, I sat up. The memory foam mercifully dampened the squeak of the shifting springs. Wearing nothing but my boxers, I crept to the door and tried listening. I really hoped it was her and I wasn't about to fight a burglar or some desperate homeless man while nearly naked. I could hear grumbling and high-pitched whining noises. Some of the noises were familiar because Robin makes them when we, no, that's not important. Using the cover of more rummaging sounds, I quickly got the door open. The lights were still out except for the light bulb in the fridge and the streetlights shining through our windows. The door of the fridge was wide open, all the visible shelves emptied and most likely on the floor. Smacking sounds and growling noises came from behind the kitchen island. These were different from her normal growls, though. More like how a dog might growl while playing tug-of-war with a rope. Mixed in was a wet chewing noise. Giving the area a wide berth, I found Robin nude, hunched like Gollum style in the corner behind the fridge door. She was shoveling handfuls of raw ground beef into her mouth and staring absently at the kitchen window. The curtains were pulled back and the streetlight illuminated her face. Everything about this scene was making me want to turn tail and run, but I was frozen in fear at the whole posture she was taking. The fridge motor clicked on from being open so long, and her head twitched to the side so her ear was facing it, eyes never leaving the window. I caught a glimpse of something like the eyeshine of a cat as her head tilted at just the right angle. She resumed chewing, that sickening sound of raw meat being rolled around by her tongue before swallowing and digging in for more. So Robin's head was now much closer to aiming in my direction than I was comfortable with. Abruptly, she stopped chewing, and everything was quiet, save for the fridge motor and a distant dog barking. She didn't swallow. She didn't spit anything out. It was just a sudden cessation of movement, jaw slack with bits of fatty meat glistening on her lips and chin. Then, her head twitched in my direction so fast I wasn't able to register the motion. Her eyes, shimmering with some internal light, locked with mine. She sprang to her feet with the grace of a ballet dancer from the floor right onto the kitchen island. With all the spilled food, I thought she would have slipped, but her toes met the fake marble with the balance of a cat. Her posture had gone from pensive to an outright threat within a few blinks. She bore her teeth, perfectly normal human teeth, with chunks of food stuck between them. From somewhere deeper in her throat than I thought possible rose a menacing growl. I put up my hands defensively and took a step back, the way you would with any aggressive beast. I don't know why my first thought was this was an extreme case of sleepwalking. It was probably just my tired, frightened mind trying to rationalize what I was seeing. In typical idiot in a zombie movie fashion, I reached out my hand for her and softly spoke her name. Her chest was heaving like a bellows. Each exhale continued her ongoing growl. If there was recognition in her eyes, it was somewhere in the shadows. The living room window behind me confirmed that I was indeed seeing eyeshine from her pupils. Those eyes never left mine, staring me down like a predator asserting dominance. She swung her fingers at me, bent like claws, as my hand got into range. I let out a startled yelp, and for a moment her growls stopped. I shakily said her name again, trying not to make it sound like a question. The arch of her back straightened a small amount, and she pressed her hands to the surface of the island, letting her feet slide back down to the floor right into the mess made by our fridge's contents. Her spine remained low and shoulders tensed, letting me know that she could still lunge at any time. I thought I had her back, even if just for a moment. "Danny?" Her voice came out hoarse, raw. "Robin, what's going on?" was all I could think to say. "I'm hungry, Danny. I need more." She wiped the dripping myoglobin and bits of greasy meat from her chin and licked at the back of her hand. "Maybe we should cook it first?" I chuckled weakly, not moving from my spot. My mind was racing for any way to defend myself in case she went bestial on me again. Behind me was the table and chairs, a few books and my laptop. Behind her was the knife block. "Meat. Need to eat. Don't have enough. Need more." Her posture was changing again, and her tone was shifting from pleading to desperate. Remembering how agile she had been getting on the island, I imagined she could easily cover the distance to me in no time. At that moment, a jar which had been precariously balanced on the edge of the fridge toppled off its perch. Involuntarily, I winced as I heard it shatter against another jar. My eyes closed, and she took the moment of distraction to pounce. The suddenness of the attack knocked me off balance, and I was bent over backwards on the table, a chair grinding into my spine. I managed to get my arm between us as she frantically gnashed for my neck like a wild animal. I held her face back, a task made harder by the fat from the ground beef smeared around her lips, chin, and throat. I couldn't separate this Robin from the woman I loved, so I kept my hand off her neck, though it probably would have been the better technique. Her flailing arms grabbed my hair, acrylic nails snapping among my curls as she tried to twist my head to the side and expose my jugular. Even through the insanity of it all, my first thought was how good she smelled up close. As her nude body pressed against me, my thoughts shifted to having sex with her rather than self-defense. Looking back blows my mind that she was trying to murder me with her bare hands. I was thinking about how much I enjoyed her nibbling on my earlobes. Nearly every part of me was willing then and there to give in to these advances as if they were just playful wrestling. The pain snapped me out of my stupor as teeth sank into the side of my hand so cleanly that the skin and muscle came away as easily as biting into an apple. With that pain came an adrenaline rush that gave me the strength to shove her back far enough to get out of her grasp. She slid back against the island and swallowed the piece of myself whole, licking the blood off her lips and chin with a tongue that now seemed longer than I had ever seen. I scrambled through the door into our bedroom, thankful I hadn't closed it, as the blood and fat on my hands would have made the doorknob impossible. Just as I was about to slam the door, I felt the graze of her hands clawing for my back. I kicked blindly through the gap and caught her in the leg, pushing her out just enough. I closed it quickly and hit the locking button on the doorknob, hoping she was not in a right enough state of mind to get something to poke through the small release hole on the other side. She wailed and whined like a creature in pain, punching the door so hard I thought the frame would crack if the flimsy material it was made of didn't go first. A gust of wind on my heels made me jump as she sniffed under the gap. In vain, I pleaded with her to stop, thankful she seemed hell-bent on doing this with her bare hands instead of finding an easily accessible weapon. After a minute of waiting for her to slam against it again, or jam a knife through, I felt confident enough to press my ear to the wood paneling. I could hear her whimpering on the other side. The human kind of whimpering, though, a strange sound after the array of animal noises she had been making up until now. Robin was repeating over and over again in between sobs, I have to, I need to. Talking more to herself than to me. Robin, you don't have to do whatever this is. I'm calling 911. Don't resist when they get here so we can get you help. There's no help, Danny. I like you. I tried not to do it this way, she said in a sad, quiet voice. Like before, she switched back to her monstrous persona faster than I could process and slammed something against the door. "But there's not enough food! If there was enough, I could have just left, but I'm so hungry!" She punctuated this statement with another slam. "We can get you food. Let me order something. There's gotta be some late-night delivery," I pleaded. I hadn't let on that I was, at that moment, texting the downstairs neighbor to call the cops. There was no doubt that she had woken up by all this, and never before had I wanted her to go through with her threats to call the police on us for being too noisy. The first few times was why we had bought a memory foam mattress in the first place. My blood was smeared all over the screen, making it take a few tries to get the proper words to go through. What I managed to send off was pulls, with the P key getting put on repeat until I could wipe away the blood droplets on my pants and hit send. They arrived shortly, much sooner than I had expected, though the neighbor confirmed she had already called the cops after my first scream of getting bitten. 2 cops showed up at the door, tasers drawn and ready to end this domestic spat. Neither one had been prepared for a feral nude supermodel smeared in blood trying to slam her head against the bedroom door. Surprisingly, she went quietly, sadly mumbling an apology to me as one of them led her out in cuffs with a spare blanket wrapped around her. Only after the remaining officer confirmed it was safe for me to come out did I open the door. The ambulance had arrived by this point, and he escorted me down to get medical treatment for the bite. When I unwrapped the dirty towel to show them the damage, the paramedic let out an odd whistle. They drove me to the hospital for stitches and antibiotics. Human bites at the best of time are loaded with bacteria. The doc said she got some muscle, but with time I should regain most of my grip strength in my thumb. For now, it would need to stay in a brace to prevent too much palm movement. The police took my report. I left out the parts about her going beast mode on me. I didn't want to press charges despite the police pointing out how much damage she had done to me. Everything was just too confusing. They asked for the contact information for her family, and I told the officer I didn't have that information, which confused him after hearing we had been together for years. They left, and I had to get my own way home, so I took an Uber. I recounted the story to the driver on the way home. All he had to say was, "Damn, bitches be crazy." This upset me, so I left a minimum tip. Yes, sure, what she had done was crazy, but she was still the love of my life. The sun is coming up, and I'm bone tired, crashing from all the adrenaline. I'm going to bed. Update. I've had a few days to mull over what happened with Robin. I should offer up some backstory on us because this came completely out of left field for me. She had never been violent. If anything, she was the most perfect girlfriend a guy like me could ever dream of having. I'm a college dropout with ambitions of being a writer, but admittedly, I'm not great at it. Instead, I work at a big brand coffee shop, which will go unnamed. None of this is really important beyond explaining how I am in no way worthy of the lusty goddess I shared a bed with. She let me have my freedom and didn't mind when I sat around the apartment playing video games or slowly writing my novel. She supported me in all my ventures, and I tried to support her in hers. Robin was into yoga and nature walks. I'm pretty sure she's a trust fund baby of some kind because she never seemed to need money. I don't know for sure because she's very vague about her past. For 5 years, I've been the envy of every nerd at the local game shop. Great sex life, and maybe that's TMI, but just know things between us were amazing. Lately, she's been talking about babies. No talk of marriage, just straight to the responsibility of raising small humans dependent on us for everything. Often, she would go on about how beautiful our children would be. I'm not so sure. Her genetics would have to pick up the slack for my unmanageable curly orange hair, big ears, and weak chin. I think she's a mix of Eastern European and Cuban, but I've never met her parents. And when I would ask about her family, all she said is that she has lots and lots of siblings. Whenever I tried to suggest meeting them, she gave me vague excuses. Sometimes I can't help but feel like she just didn't want to disappoint them by showing them her chosen partner. Other times, in my imagination, she's protecting me from her hulking drug kingpin father and a pack of gangster brothers. Now, I have no way to contact them and let them know that Robin is being held in the mental health wing of the hospital for observation. No way to tell them she refuses to eat anything the orderlies bring her beyond the meat options. I signed off on her menu only providing meat products, which seemed to calm her down a little bit. Due to her missing family and our 5-year relationship, they gave me the power of attorney, at least in this sense. I tried to talk to her yesterday. My heart broke when I saw her strapped to the bed, wriggling and writhing as if she couldn't get comfortable. She had chewed the skin off her bottom lip and was sucking at what little blood seeped out. At the sight of me, though, she calmed. Not in the way I wish she had, though. Her eyes followed me as I walked over to the chair beside her bed. Her smile might as well just have been bared teeth. She asked for a kiss, but the glint in her eye made my hand throb in remembrance. I could tell right away I wasn't going to see the old Robin I knew and loved come out for a talk, not without some serious medication and therapy for whatever sparked this. I told her I loved her and I would do whatever I could to help her, but she just licked her lips and said she was hungry in a hoarse voice an octave too low. As I got up to leave, she resumed her shifting and moaning. I'm not ready to call myself single again. If she's sick, is it not my duty as her partner to stand by her side? I can even forgive the bite if she's medicated and the trust is rebuilt. Everything will be normal again once I'm sure that it won't happen again. Anyway, this has been exhausting. I'll be in touch if anything new happens. Update 2. I got in a fight with my friend Emma today. I hadn't heard from her in a month, and she jumped back into my life by leaving a really angry message via Facebook. The weirdest part is I have no idea what the heck she's talking about in it. Hi, Danny. I just got back from Robbie's funeral and I noticed you weren't there. I don't know what the hell happened between the two of you. Whatever went down to make you pretend to not know each other, was it bad enough to skip his funeral? Like, you could have at least come to be there for me. Bry's funeral is tomorrow at 11 a.m. If you ever gave a shit about him, I had better fucking see you there. Call me. I called her back as soon as I got the message. I had known Emma since elementary. She was 2 years younger than me, but in our small town, all the kids hung out in the same places. She tagged along with me and the guys sometimes. She's been a part of my life so long, I don't even remember the circumstances of how we met in the first place. Now she was messaging me to yell at me over some funeral? I didn't know any Robbies. Not close enough to be expected at a funeral for anyway. Danny, what the fuck? Was her greeting. I heard a door close and the background chatter quieted down. Yeah, I want to know that too. What's this about a funeral? I don't know what's going on. I can see the texts are on red, Danny. You can ignore my voice messages, but not my texts. I paused and flicked to my messages. No texts, but there were calls from her in my history. I got a thought and checked her settings. Blocked. Look, Em, things have been crazy around here for the last few days. Robin had a breakdown, and I've been spending a lot of time in the hospital. I think she may have been messing with my phone before, but I have no texts. Robin? Robin, my girlfriend. What Robin do you think? Then she asked something that sent a chill down my spine. Since when did you get a girlfriend? My mind raced and I sat back on the bed. Emma knew Robin. She'd been a bridesmaid at Emma's wedding last year. And I reminded her of that fact. Danny, I didn't have anyone in my wedding named Robin. You've been single as long as I've known you. You even asked me to prom before Robbie threatened to put you down. Robin had been my prom date. We had dated all through senior year. My head was starting to throb as I had a momentary feeling like I was remembering an old dream. The thought was shoved aside by the memory of Robin showing me her dress choices. Emma, I don't know what's going on. Things have been too much. I'm sorry I missed the funeral. Who was this Robbie guy? At that point, she flipped on me. Your best friend! What the actual fuck? He's dead and you're gonna keep this petty bullshit going? I took a deep breath and collected my thoughts. Please, Emma, humor me for a minute. Tell me everything that's happened, because I think I may need to check myself into the psych ward next to Robin. Fuck. Okay, Robbie, my brother and your best fucking friend since grade 4? He was murdered. Holy shit. There was a noise complaint, and when the cops got there, he was dead. So torn up, they had to go with a closed casket. I held my breath and listened to her sniffle and sob. They don't know who did it, but Talia is missing, and we're not sure if she's a victim or the killer. Whoever killed him ate him, Danny. Talia would never do that, no matter how much of an ass Robbie was being. And what about the funeral tomorrow? This Bry guy? I heard her stifle a frustrated scream. Same thing. They said it looked like he had a girl living with him, which makes absolutely no sense. Why not? Fucking hell, Danny, because he's gay! I couldn't get a hold of Jan, but none of the clothes we found in his apartment could be anything she'd wear. It was all lingerie and shit. This is why I need you here. You're the only one left, and now you've got a girlfriend I've never heard about, but I'm supposed to remember? What happened to your crush on Jan? Emma, I don't know what to say. I avoided telling her I didn't know any Jans either, to prevent a potential nuclear meltdown from my grieving friend. Talk to me tomorrow at Brian's funeral. Sure. No, wait. How about you come over when you're done there? I won't sleep tonight if I can't figure this out soon. See, Robin attacked me a few nights ago, and it might be related. Oh shit. Like, what kind of attack? Like the kind where she wanted to rip me apart and eat me. Jesus. Okay, I'll see if I can duck out of this wake. See you in an hour. We hung up, and I straightened things around the apartment. All I'd managed to do the last few days was clean the food from the floor before it could go rotten, and picked up the broken glass. The more I tried to process everything I had just been told, the more my headache grew, like my brain was actively resisting any thoughts. The throbbing in my head calmed down as I found some of Robin's underwear wedged in the couch cushions, and despite the tension, I smiled. I'd throw them in the laundry and deliver them on my next visit. I realized I'd been sitting on the couch just holding the hot pink panties for 10 minutes when my phone received a message through the Facebook app from Emma, telling me she was on her way. I chastised myself for daydreaming and quickly threw the discarded underwear in the hamper. By the time Emma arrived, the apartment was looking much more presentable. Hey, she said, almost like she was embarrassed. It was obvious from her eyes that she'd been missing sleep and recently crying. Sorry for the freak out earlier. Sorry for not knowing what's going on, I returned. Her eyes widened when she saw the wrapping around my hand. Is that from your girlfriend? Without waiting for an answer, she took my forearm and held the gauze-covered extremity up to her face as if she might gain insight from the wrappings. Yeah, that's why I think this might be related. I let her read my experience from that night, the one I posted previously. I made some coffee while she sat quietly on the couch scrolling through the text document. After I was sure she had enough time to process the whole tale, she continued staring at the phone. I saw her thumb swiping around and went into panic mode. Hey, just the story. Stay out of my pics. Her cheeks flushed. Shit, sorry. That's more of you than I needed to see. I snatched the phone back from her and took a look at how much she had got to look at. Robin had been enthusiastically agreeable with my desire to document some of our more fun evenings. I scrolled down, entranced by her beauty and those thighs. Emma snapped me out of my fantasies. Gross, Danny! This is the wrong time to be looking through that stuff. The bitch tried to kill you. She deflated a bit, probably remembering her dead brother and the similar circumstances that brought her here today. Sorry. It's like whenever I start thinking about her, some part of me can't help but hold on to that. Now that you know my side of the story, maybe we can try getting to the bottom of this. You said Brian and Robbie were killed a week ago, and there were signs that it was a woman or multiple women? Cops haven't said too much. Maybe it was your girlfriend for all three? Nuh-uh. She was with me every night for the past 2 weeks. No way she was living a triple life like that. Do you have any pictures? Ones of her dressed. Something I could show around to the neighbors? Emma looked around the walls. Scanning for any framed pictures of us, I became very aware of how bare the walls were. Robin liked to live in the moment rather than pose for pictures. We saw each other every day, so what was the point in hanging pictures of us on the wall anyway? Sorry, in the digital age, we never really thought about printing any. Let me look through and see if I can find one to send to you. I flicked through my photos, speeding past our personal ones, until my photo album just stopped abruptly 4 weeks ago. Huh, that's weird, I mumbled aloud. What is? Okay, so it looks like Robin was looking through my text and had blocked your number from getting through, but she also deleted every photo taken before July 7th. The last photo is a selfie we took together on the last day of our camping trip. Oh, I remember. Robbie mentioned a camping trip over the 4th of July. I thought you and the gang were going together. Nope, just me and Robin. I don't remember running into anyone else. I felt my eyes tearing up for some reason. Not from being sad over something, just the resurfacing of my headache as I thought back on that weekend, trying to remember any details. The harder I pushed, the more the vice tightened on my forehead until I glanced back at the photo with Robin and the ache subsided. Well, send me the picture anyway. You said she's already locked up, right? If anyone IDs her from the guy's apartments, at least we won't have to hunt her down. It couldn't have been her, I growled, shocking myself with my sudden defensiveness. But maybe she knows the killers? Maybe they were some kind of cannibal cult coven hunting down guys. Talia is still missing. Jan too. Any leads would help. She must have noticed some micro-expression because she rolled her eyes and swung her arms up. Are you fucking kidding me? Talia too? And the other girl. Jan? You crushed on her for fucking ever. I swear, Em, I'm not playing dumb here. You keep saying names and I keep not knowing. It's like every time I think about those names, I don't just draw a blank. My whole head starts to hurt. I don't know, Danny. I just don't know. Just get that pic to me. It's been a long, hard week. I need sleep, and maybe you should check into a psych ward. Your whole memory is fucked, and I don't have the spoons to dive into that mess. Yeah, maybe. With that, Emma gave me a hug, and I hugged her back. I felt guilty that my friend was grieving, and I couldn't sympathize like she needed me to. On her way out, she asked me not to visit Robin until she could confirm that my girlfriend wasn't a serial cannibal. I nodded, though the thought of not visiting Robin in the hospital hurt my heart a little. I think I need to do a thorough cleaning and box up her stuff. Maybe even do some digging into her family. For the last 3 hours, I've been going around the apartment removing Robin's things. It shouldn't have taken this long, but I kept getting a strange sensation that something was wrong, or at least not right about something. I just couldn't get my head cleared while chucking her stuff in the box I was packing. I went for a walk to clear my head and grab a frap to perk myself back up. I don't know if it was the fresh air or the caffeine, but it seemed to have worked. The missing puzzle piece to my sense of wrongness. All of her clothes were new. Every single article of clothing I packed was something I had bought for her within the last month. Well, almost. The only things I could find that are more than a month old was a baggy gray t-shirt, a bra that is a bit too small for her, some boy short style underwear, hiking boots, and some khaki clam diggers. They don't really suit her style, but when we go hiking, she doesn't wear her finest. But they're the only clothes of their type. When we go camping, it's always for multiple nights, but I can't find any other clothes that would be suitable for hiking. Thinking back on what Emma said about it being strange that there were no pictures of her on the wall, I decided to do some digging. Her laptop didn't go to the hospital with her, so I dug it out and cracked her PIN, which was the date of our anniversary, 0607. Shit, I just realized even the laptop was new. I only vaguely remember buying it, like with the clothes. I'm starting to wonder if Robin was lacing my food with drugs to mess with my head, but that doesn't make sense either. Her social media was up. I've seen her using it 100 times. I'm not big on social media, so never really kept up on her profile since I was there for everything she did in the last 5 years. Up until that point, it had been a fact. Then I scrolled down and started snooping. Her profile picture was the same one of us hiking. That was reasonable and normal. I checked out her most recent post. all of her liking baby animals videos, nature pictures, and reposting contests to win free things. Normal. All very normal. I checked her friends. She had over 500 friends, but as I looked through them, it seemed like they were all strangers from all around the world. The type who follows back anyone who follows them. Nobody local or even vaguely familiar. I clicked on her images, sure to find album after album of the two of us on our many adventures we had shared and our long history together. She had album upon album of nature photos and cute animals, all looking like she took the top images from a Google image search. Scattered throughout were albums named national parks we had actually visited, complete with the date and the title. I smiled at first, relieved that at least there was proof of our past. I popped open the album Yosemite 2019, with a picture of the Looney Tunes character Yosemite Sam as the cover. I remembered that trip. It was the summer after graduation, and we had insisted we celebrate with a vacation. I hadn't been much of a hiker at the time, and with my ginger complexion, I was prone to sunburns. Despite my protests at first, it had been a great week in the woods, tenting for half, renting a cabin when the weather wasn't the best. There were vivid memories of her posing topless for me by a waterfall while I snapped Polaroids. We had almost been caught by someone walking their dog when the mutt broke away from its owner and rushed at Robin. One of the photos caught the moment she saw the dog running at her. I must still have the picture somewheres. Getting back to Facebook. I clicked on the album, expecting a trip down memory lane. I was greeted by 6 thumbnails, all ripped directly from Yosemite National Park's official webpage. I scrolled down, looking for pictures of us. Stock photos. They even had watermarks from multiple web pages prominently plastered over them. I noticed a few had comments on them. One was a girl who commented, "You look like you had a great time. Heart emoji, tree emoji, laughing face emoji." The photo was of a mountain lion lounging on a sunbeam on a mossy boulder. Getty Images watermark striking through it at several points. The girl, Anya, had only made the comment 3 weeks ago. I thought it was strange for some rando to reply to such an old post. I checked the post date to compare and had to do a double take. Yosemite 2019 was created 3 weeks ago, the day before the comment from Anya. I started to feel nauseous, my hands shaking as I closed the laptop and slid it away as though it too may bite me. I stared at the kitchen island for I don't even know how long. Memories of her trying to cook pancakes, remembering her encouraging me to quit college and pursue my writing career, her naked frame hunched in a predator stance, poised to lunge for my throat. I shuddered, which broke my focus enough to get me off the couch. Even if the Facebook was fake, for whatever reason, I remembered things. We had Polaroids in the closet from 4 years ago. She made me hide them up there and promised to never share her topless photos to my friends. When we had moved into the apartment 2 years ago, I'd put the photos in a cardboard box with a bunch of Magic the Gathering cards. She didn't know that's where I kept them. I hadn't really played cards since. If the dusty box was still undisturbed, it would be the proof I needed. Desperate to hold on to the last thread of reality as I knew it, I rushed to the closet. I bet you can already guess what I found. A dust-covered box, right where I left it. It had been taped shut with clear packing tape to avoid spilling during the move. There was no sign of disturbance to the tape, which still laid flush with the white cardboard. It was the strangest thing to be getting an adrenaline rush over, but my heart was pounding so hard I could feel it impacting my sternum. Using my keys, I broke the tape seal and slid the flaps out. Cards, packed in as tight as they could go. Among them, not a single picture. I dumped the cards out on my bed to check under them and between them. Nothing. Like they had never existed. I returned to the closet, wondering what else I could find to prove or disprove the existence of my girlfriend. Some old textbooks from my time in college proved at least that part was true. I had been sure that I kept my high school yearbook in the closet too, but it wasn't there. I had no way to prove Robin hadn't gotten rid of it as part of her mysterious plan. While I was putting my effort into checking the shelves, I stepped on a duffel bag and heard a crunch beneath my foot. The sickeningly familiar cracking of a phone screen. My duffel bag, sitting in the back of the closet since our Independence Day weekend camping trip. Robin and I had been in such a rush to shower, I had kicked it into the closet, out of sight, out of mind. There was nothing mysterious about it. We often would get lazy about unpacking after our time away. I couldn't understand why there would be a phone in there. Mine was with me and hers was sitting on the coffee table where I put it during my cleaning. I yanked on the handles, dislodging it from the other clutter that had piled up over the last month. The bag had not been disturbed since its main purpose was carrying things we didn't intend to take back with us, like food, toilet paper, cheap rope, and extra first aid supplies. I found traces of all those things, plus condoms and some empty booze bottles of Fireball. The Fireball was confusing, as Robin and I both detested anything with that artificial spicy cinnamon. Drinks, candy, gum, scented candles, you name it. Tucked deeper into the bag was some dried-up weed with 2 joints pre-rolled. Again, there was no way this was mine either. Or maybe it was. My first impression on seeing it was not, "That's not mine," but more, "Oh, who left that there?" I don't have any stoner friends, though. I found the phone at the bottom, wedged into the back. I was careful to avoid any nearly invisible splinters of glass while picking it up by the unbroken end. Trying to turn it on yielded nothing. Thankfully, most modern phones can still work as long as the phone hadn't been run over by a truck, so I plugged it in. Almost instantly, the charge notification lit up the screen. I returned to the bag to see if there were any other mysterious treasures and came across my journal. Now, as I said before, I love to write, but I'm terrible at motivation, so I always keep a journal on me so I can remember any adventures. If I need motivation, I can jog my memory. I'm able to grab one of my journals and with just a few scribbled words, return to the moment. Since the mystery phone was going to take a while to charge, I decided to read through the journal. My hope is that I wrote something offhand that may give me some insight into Robin's behavior. Boy howdy, did I find more than I expected. Trying to transcribe it will take too long, so I'm just going to record myself reading it and post it when I'm done. Okay, here it is. While I was recording it, shit hit the fan, so I'm posting this, then getting the hell out of here. Day 1. We've pulled up to the trail entrance. No other cars in sight but ours. We all arrived close to the same time, which was nice. Everyone in the surrounding area is going to be doing 4th of July stuff, leaving the trails free and clear. I wonder if we'll still hear fireworks from this distance. Hopefully no idiots will be trying to set off anything like this in the woods. Robbie's a bit mad at me for taking his phone. We had all agreed that this trip would be tech-free. I let him take a group photo, though. Then he fiddled around a little too long, so we swiped it to get the hike going. It's in my duffel bag. He thinks it's in the trunk. If we need a backup flashlight, maybe I'll let him have it back. I'm just killing time while everyone goes over their supplies. We stopped for a break. Talia keeps thinking she's hearing things. Robbie keeps trying to comfort her. We're already 3 hours in and nobody except maybe Talia wants to make the hike back. I don't want to tell the others I keep hearing something too. Brian and Jan, the Wonder Twins, keep reassuring T that they brought bear spray, so if anything does make a move, we're covered. Brian is going to take up the back. He insists his backwards-facing ball cap with 2 eyeballs will ward off any cougars that may get behind us. Robbie made a cougar joke. Jan and I will take the lead. Good company. Winky face. Why would I draw a winky face? Okay. We're 5 hours in, and Bryce says we're far enough. Robbie wants to go in further despite Talia still being wary. Nobody else is hearing what she's talking about except maybe me. But it could be squirrels or something. The noises I heard earlier, little barks and chirps, were probably just baby foxes calling to their mom or something, warning other critters that a bunch of humans were coming. The undergrowth was all choked out by the big pines, so if there was something coming, it'd have a hard time following us unseen for 5 hours. Everyone's setting up their tents, and Jan keeps looking at me expectantly. I'm nervous because Bry's protective of her, and I don't know how things will be between us when he inevitably figures it out. Okay, fire's going. Stream water's boiling. Rob's passing around the fireball and weed. Everyone's a bit pissed at him for not bringing his own water to save space for booze, but after a few puff-puff passes, we'll be over it till tomorrow. I'm currently in my tent, about to go experience shitting in the woods for the first time. But I'm nervous. Bry brought one of those camping toilet stools you just crap through and it falls in a hole. Not looking forward to it, but if tonight is going to go well, I gotta do it. I survived. Heard something out there, but nothing came into the light of my LED lantern. Didn't sound like it was trying to be stealthy, so I'm guessing, or hoping, it was a curious deer. I'm glad I brought baby wipes because I'm nervous sweating up a storm. Now I wait, I guess. I made sure not to get more than a pleasant buzz on, enough to calm the nerves. Don't need whiskey, Dick. I scribbled that last part out. Bry's a deep sleeper, so I'm just listening for their tent zipper. We triangled the tents around the campfire, with Rob and T in theirs, the twins in the other. Me alone because I confidently lied about being brave enough to solo this trip. Okay, there's a space here with a bunch of dots, like I was nervously tapping on the page waiting. Then I wrote, "She's coming." I wrote 3 exclamation points here. Damn, that was a wild time. Not going into detail in case Brian snoops. Hi, Brian. I did your sister. Jan just went back to her tent. No after cuddles to avoid suspicion. I just heard her tent zip back up. Don't really care if Rob or T heard us. They knew this was coming. Then there's apparently a space here. I hear someone out in the woods. It's definitely a human walk, but staggered. I took a peek out, but didn't see anyone. I hope it was just one of the drunkies going for a piss, staying awake to make sure whoever it is makes it back to their tent. I think it's one of the girls because I heard something like a hacking cough or a bark in a girl's voice. Then laughing? Okay, it was like a half hour. Maybe someone smoking another joint. I heard Bry and Jan's tent rustling violently and some muffled sounds. Was about to check when I heard Brian mumble something calmly. Jan must have tripped on her way back in. All is well. Going back to sleep. Okay, that's messing with my head. I obviously wrote it. I even used a different colored pen to show different days. This one was in blue. The next day looks like it's in green. I read ahead some and I'm just going to read the whole thing and limit my commenting. Good morning, day 2. My air mattress went flat in the night and I think I pitched my tent on a tree root because my back is killing me. Brian and Rob are making coffee and I think eggs over the fire. Bry loves showing off his ultralight camping supplies. Sun looks really bright. Might climb tree later to get some reading in and bask in the ambience. I can already smell Robbie lighting up, so he won't be going far. Managed to climb a tree. Haven't done this since I was a kid. Going to stop journaling to see if I can make a dent in my novel. The sucky part is that when we get back, I'll have to type it all out on my laptop. There still is something about sitting in a tree, writing on paper made from trees with a pencil made from a tree that I find poetic. Brian and Crystal are trying to convince Talia to head up the ridge with them. T's still paranoid about whatever she thought she heard on the trail yesterday. I think she'll go because Robbie's already high and she's not a fan of his wake and bake rants when she's sober. Crystal seems oddly insistent that they don't leave T behind. She's been groping Bry all morning, so why she wants a tag-along is beyond me. Looking down at them below me is giving me a bit of a headache, so I'm going to try a different position to write in, aiming for 5 pages. I dozed off, but didn't fall. Power couple is back. Is there a mile-high version of fucking in the forest? Splinter Society? Looks like Brian has joined the Splinter Society. He got back from the hike with a fresh hickey, which we've not stopped mocking him for. Must have been good because he's been a bit out of it since they got back. Robbie may have smoked too much as he keeps looking around us all confused, and keeps pointing at us and himself like he's counting. Got my 5 pages in, and some into 6th. It's sad how little that amount adds up when typed up, but it's progress. Rob's been acting like a crackhead going through withdrawal. Take a guy's phone away for a weekend and watch him start detoxing after just a day. Like he doesn't know how to shut down. Stimulus addiction. Took a swing at me when I handed him a rectangular rock to keep his swipe left hand occupied. Going to see if he wants to try fishing when he calms down. Could be brook trout for supper. Maybe I'll give back his phone if he's good. So I got to have a good chat with Robbie. Don't get to do that much these days. A good one-on-one instead of him just telling me to read his Facebook posts to keep caught up. He's bummed because he was hoping by now to at least be dating someone, if not engaged. He talked about the pressure from his parents who compared him to Emma, who is already in full family mode. Holy shit. Also, we caught 8 fish, so we can have 2 each. Robbie's math was off because he kept insisting we need 10 even after I got him to name all 4 of us. Maybe I should have left his weed with his phone. Going to try that stick-in-the-mouth fish over the fire method. Well, I'm thoroughly drunk now. We stoked up the fire so we hopefully don't have to try and tend to it for the rest of the night. Bri and Chris turned in early and already going at it. Robbie and I made fun of how Crystal sounds like an angry chihuahua in there. Must be the forest air because they've never been this exhibition-y as far as I remember. Feel bad for Robbie. He's obviously jealous. All that talk about feeling like someone's missing from his life has me pretty down too. Not the best mindset to be drunk in. Turning in now. I can hear the echoes of fireworks bouncing around. Hopefully nobody sets the forest on fire. Just like last night when Crystal went to pee or whatever, I'm up again. Still a bit drunk, but gotta protect my friends. I think it's Robbie tonight. Sounds coming from his direction. Not sure why he doesn't just open the flap and pee out the door in his state. I think I hear 2 sets of footsteps out there. Can hear Chris and Bryce snoring, so it's not them. I'm too freaked out to go outside. If I hear a scream, I'll go. Robbie just let an ass ripper go in his tent. Who's outside? That last section was practically illegible. My hand must have been shaking too hard to go on, but there was something else written after it. I think I can make out the word voices, but I don't remember any of it. Some of what happens the next day I do remember because it has Robin in it, but I don't remember some other stuff. This is a bit embarrassing, but I'll read the next day in full. I used red ink for this one. Today I was woken up by Robin's oral alarm clock. Oh, God. Probably the best way to wake up. Was a bit embarrassed because my last shower was 3 days ago, but she said it was fine. I can hear Robbie groaning from his hangover. I hope it's from the hangover and not him jacking it. I'll make fun of him for it later. Robin is getting the breakfast fire going. She said she didn't hear any of the voices last night. Anya and Robbie have been out hiking all morning. Is there a Mile High Club version of fucking in the forest? Splinter Society? Robin and I took advantage of this absence. It was cramped in our single sleeping bag, but she likes being close. She kept growling and making these whimpering puppy noises I've never really heard her make before. She's been walking circles around the edge of the camp since then. I think she's trying to get some forest creatures to come to her Disney princess style, making all these little fox noises or bird chirps. Asked if she wanted to do anything else, but she insisted I keep working on my novel unless I want round 2. She said we'll go hiking tomorrow. Maybe it'll be my turn to join the Splinter Society. Robin and I ended up going for a little hike before Robbie and Anya got back. She wanted to get frisky in the woods, but I was feeling pretty greasy and the mosquitoes were everywhere. The whole walk I kept hearing sounds in the woods. Sometimes it sounded like talking, but I couldn't see anyone or make out the words. Could be some other campers that showed up after us. I know there are no parallel trails in the park, but we set our tent pretty far off the trail, so maybe it's like that. Robin denied hearing anything, but I swear she kept cocking her head like she was listening to something. She's been acting so weird today. If you sneak a look at this, I love you, honey. Sorry, future me. Didn't get a chance to write a before-bed entry. Wasn't much to write about. Robbie and Anya were getting touchy-feely. We ate the last of our canned goods and trail snacks so we didn't have to drag any food out of the woods tomorrow. Had some awkward sex because we could hear Anya having a good time with Robbie. Awkward for me, Anya and Robin kept responding to each other's noises like it was some strange duet. Went to sleep without writing because I have a throbbing pain behind my eyes. Taking a moment to write now because Robin and Anya are out for a pee or something, watching each other's backs. I don't blame them with the voices I was hearing in the woods. I don't know why I'm so paranoid. Everything feels off. I have a weird headache in the front of my head that only seems to act up at random. I noticed Robbie absently rubbing his forehead, so maybe he's feeling it too. Robin and Anya are out by the fire having a conversation, but I can't tell what they're saying. There's some throaty chuckles, so maybe they're exchanging notes. Going back to sleep, hopefully headache gone in morning. That's the last day I have trouble with. I don't remember it like this. There was no Anya or Robbie on the last day. I remember the hike with the voices. I remember the sex. I remember the headache, too. Just to round everything out, I'm going to share the last page. This one I remember writing word for word. Morning sex equals good. That's it. That's all I wrote until later. All packed up and ready to go. Campfire has been drenched in water from the stream. Robin and I are leaving a stack of wood in case anyone decides to use our spot after. We carved our initials into a nearby tree she spotted while wandering around the campsite. I thought we had found a pretty unique area, but the tree had a lot of other initials. Some looked pretty fresh. Robin pointed it out excitedly like she had been waiting for this moment, but when I asked, she said she'd always wanted to do the carving of initials. I swear we must have done it before on other hikes. She insisted we put them between the newest ones, B plus C and R plus A. She traced her fingers over those ones. My girlfriend's so weird. If you sneak a look at this, I love you, honey. We're going to hike back to the car by noon so we don't get caught in the dark. Is there a mile-high version of fucking in the forest? Splinter Society? Robin and I joined the Splinter Society. About halfway back, she pulled me to this mossy area and insisted we get romantic. I laid down our sleeping bag, lit some citronella despite her hating the smell, and we did the do. She's taking a pee in the woods before we head out. We're the only car in the lot, which is weird because I swear I heard other hikers somewhere in there. Excited to get home and have a shower. I'm so ripe I don't know how she was so amorous. And that's that. We got home later that day and showered. She did join me in the shower and we went for round 3. In hindsight, this was when she started acting weird as far as I can remember. Like she was just turned on all the time. But according to this journal, I was hooking up with someone named Jan and Robin wasn't even in the picture. Oh, the cell phone finished charging, so I took a look through that. Not much help as it's locked, but the lock screen is enough evidence for me. It's a picture taken beside my car. I'm standing there looking like I held a smile too long waiting for the timer to take the picture. There's a guy and a girl with the same light brown hair and similar attractive cheekbones and jawlines in full hiking gear. A white guy with a backwards ball cap wearing skater shorts and a baggy jersey throwing up a shocker. He has his arm around a skinny black girl with a head wrap, mosquito net, and an exasperated expression. Looking at these people makes me feel nostalgic. I now believe everything in the journal. Somehow I lost my memory and something, maybe even Robin, replaced those memories of the last 5 years. I don't know who or what she is, but I'm going to the cops. Mini update. So, the reason I had to leave so quickly while posting? Robin escaped, and she killed some people. The doctor called me to tell me the police were on their way, since she's most likely to try to come home. I locked up and got to somewhere safe. Robin, if you read this, please just go back to wherever you came from. The doc said he warned the cops to be gentle with you if they catch you. Why didn't you tell me you were pregnant?